Well, good morning once again, and welcome to the 2017 Life Training Webinars. Ladies and gentlemen, this year we're going to attempt something a lot different than we've done in the past. I'm thankful to have had the opportunity to share with you over the last 2 years webinars based on product knowledge and carrier knowledge in our industry so that you as agents were better prepared to meet your clients' needs by identifying those products and those carriers. But of course, one of the most important things to our business, as much knowledge as you can have, as good as you can be with your closing techniques and your administration and your follow-up, if you don't have someone to see, obviously, all of those benefits that you have available can't be shared. We hope to attain that same goal this year with you as we go forward in an effort to help you increase that true life insurance business. Again, too, if you were with us last week, and hopefully a number of you were, our presentation by Mike Gendy was exactly online with what we're trying to do, and that is, as we bring the information to you, we want you to be able to learn sales techniques, or perhaps for some of you, bring to your attention a reminder of sales techniques that perhaps you've already had, but you haven't been using as you had in the past. So Mike did a great job kicking us off. And if you missed that webinar, you can now go back to the Messer website, to the Agent Resources tool, and go to our learning link, and you'll be able to open that up and see it. Now, that was just posted for your ability just yesterday. So we're going to be following that same procedure this year when a webinar is recorded, and this webinar is going to be recorded. It's going to be your opportunity to go back and review it. However, the caveat to this is there's going to be proprietary information that's shared, and that information is going to be shared only with those who have taken the time to be with us on this live broadcast. And you're going to see that later on today as we go into this information and share that with you. If you do go back and you review Mike's presentation, you're also going to find out that he shared with us a number of ways to attain goals, to set appointments, and then provided a number of selling closing tips that are only going to be available again to those agents that were there last week. So if you miss out, you miss out. So try not to do that. Try to be with us every week. And again, this week, I'm proud to have this opportunity to bring to you a program designed to teach you how to increase your life business. Just a couple of small issues for housekeeping. Be sure you're muted just in case. And any questions that you have during the presentation, please add them to that question box on the right-hand column, and we'll address those questions, time allowing, at the end of this presentation. So as we go forward today, the purpose of this course is going to help you establish that clientele from both your health policies and into a life insurance portfolio. The entire course, I'm hoping to see become a course that's going to run approximately 24 weeks. What we hope to attain during this time is, as we're going to work today, first of all, let's make that initial contact. Let's learn how to do that by both use of the phone and by mail. Let's learn in the future about scheduling a policy review. Let's also learn in the future about gathering vital health information so that you as an agent can learn to do some basic underwriting. And then we're going to also obviously go into determining the right product for your client's needs. And that actually is going to take us into doing what's called a needs analysis. So again, in the case of all of the information that we're going to share, each one of these presentations is going to provide to you the proprietary information only at the time of the presentation, and you'll see that later on as we go into our handout session. So, the best source for your leads, you've already got them. but can you identify those leads? So something new today, we're going to add to these presentations a polling. So Rebecca, if you'll help us here, let's get started with our first poll. Okay, so I hope that that was enough time for us to gather the information for you to get familiar with this first time we're using the interactive webinar itself, and if we can get the results to that poll. And as we can see here, we've got 45% of the attendings today thinking that it's their clients under the age of 65. And we've got 55% of the attendees today thinking it's their clients over the age of 65. Well, guess what? You're both right. Your clients are going to be both your clients over and under the age of 65. So the presentation again today is going to be designed to help you work with those clients no matter where your most important lead source is. And again today, we're going to go over a couple of techniques on how to get going. So the first thing is, how are you going to make that initial contact? And you're asking yourself, which way do I go? What is going to be the best way for me to go about doing that? There are a number of options that we're going to take a look at, and there's probably a number of them that I've missed that we're going to allow you to bring to our attention as well. So first of all, let's start with the most basic and well-known method, and that's going to be via the phone. So what we have here today is a typical insurance agent at his desk working his database, and hidden beneath all of the wonderful picture you have here is very important details about how to properly make that phone call. Although we can't hear the agent speaking, it's very important that you develop a speaking technique that is very clear. You have a very limited amount of time momentarily on that phone with that client. The last thing you want to have is a situation where you're speaking with marbles in your mouth and they really can't understand what you're saying. And obviously, if they can't understand what you're saying, you're not going to accomplish your goal. You can see the look on his face, the great smile. You're going to have to be able to put that smile on every time you pick up that phone. Many people use a very basic technique, and that is that somewhere in this room, to the side, above, on the desk, they place a mirror. You got to be able to take that look in the mirror before you make that call, and you got to make sure that you've got a smile on your face. And that smile on your face will come across in the tone of your voice as well. So they'll hear a smiling person, a happy person on the other end, which is someone that they're going to want to listen to. As a matter of fact, listening to, another step that's going to be very important, of course, is that you identify yourself. They've got to know who they're speaking to. This is going to be most important when we go into the clientele that is not currently one of your business people, so that they know who they're talking to. And then, of course, stating the purpose of why you're calling. You want to be able to probe with a question, something that's going to catch their attention, some type of a little tickler statement. and you want to be able to expand the knowledge that those clients have. So again, as a basic review, we want to speak clearly, we want to smile, identify ourselves, have a purpose, bring up a question, catch their attention, and then expand their knowledge. At the end of this presentation today, we are going to actually provide you with a script to follow for this first portion. And then we're going to go into a second one. And the second script is going to prepare you and take you in a direction where you've opened that line of communication in such a way that your client makes a response. So let's just say when you're talking basically and you're introducing yourself and you're there about life insurance and they come back with the, well, I already have life insurance. So time to put on the dancing shoes, because you've got to be prepared to move in another direction. You may have been focused on a script that you have in front of you, and now you've got the question in front of you. So always recognize that those questions that come up are just additional doors that have been opened. So with that further probing of the questions that you'll have available, and again, we're going to aid you in this technique as well, but when they say they've got life insurance, you should be automatically going into that next gear. What type do you have? How long have you had it? Who is it with? Now, some of what's involved here is going to have little notes on the side, and those are going to be provided in a wonderful questionnaire that I've been using personally successfully for the last 15 years. I have it at my desk at all times. It's my basic little form as I'm introducing myself or as I'm talking to someone that is new to my database. It's my gathering information form, but it actually has this information there so that it's an attention grabber for you so you don't lose track of where you're at. Again, we want to have in this script as well some type of an awakening statement, something that's going to open that door for us to perhaps schedule a policy review. Because again, if in this contact they have said to you, hey, I've already have insurance, what you want to be able to do is get in that door and take a look at what they've got. And that actually is what comes involved with a policy review. It could be a policy review down the road from a policy that you sell them because of the work we're going to discuss, or it could simply be going back in and looking at what they have that perhaps was sold to them by another agent so that it opens that door to that business opportunity because you're there now. So this actual script, again, is going to be provided to you today in our second handout. And both of these scripts that are going to be handed out to you today are going to be made available because we're going to add to that a certain program of doing the actual mailing. So what we're going to do though too is go back and talk about the third one. So we're going to bring to you today 3 different formats of mailing to these clients and 3 different scripts that are going to go along with it. Now, again, there is basically the similarity in the third script as well. We've got to be clear, smile, identify, state the purpose, but we're going to do something different in the third script. What we're going to do is address what I've identified as a shock statement. And that shock statement is going to be something we added to that letter. Actually, this letter that we're going to use under the third script is going to be a letter that you could use with your existing clientele, but it's really going to be designed for you to use to reach out as a cold canvas. And again, all of us are desiring to develop our book of business, trying to add new people. So what we're going to try to attempt here and use is the letter format with a shock statement. In the shock statement, and you're going to see how well this is put together, it's going to introduce your client to changes that have been identified within the industry, and those changes are known as living benefits. We're also going to express our confidence in the fact that we are personally, individually, as agents and brokers, affiliated with carriers that are prepared to address these changes in the market. And by so doing, we're going to open that door to scheduling an appointment. Now, something else we're going to do in this particular technique, again, some of our work today and in the future will be familiar with you, but you perhaps have lost your focus on it. And basically what we're going to do with this particular letter and script is we're going to do a takeaway close. So if you're familiar with that, you're probably sitting back with a smile on your face. Probably been a long time since you did that takeaway technique. But we're going to, again, reintroduce that in both the letter and in the script. And again, this third particular script will be part of our handout today. Now, again, all three scripts are going to be set up in a fashion that are going to be a follow-up to our second method, and that's the use of the U.S. mail. There you have our dog from the office, Norman. He's wearing his friendly choke collar, checking out that U.S. postal representative. Hopefully these aren't your letters. Hopefully yours stayed in that envelope and made it to the door. So it gets inside the door, and we have, again, attempted to use an effective tool. So what we're going to do with the letter itself, and I'm going to suggest that these letters be individually written. We want to do something a little bit more personal. We want to be able to do this letter in a fashion that they want to open it. So if you're doing a mailing and you're just going to run everything through the machine and have it pre-addressed, and then you're going to run a letter through the copy machine, you're just going to look like everybody and their brother. We want to avoid that. We want to be able to have our letter be something that they really want to open. So again, I think yourselves, like myself, you get home at the end of the day, you take your mailbox to the desk, you sit down, and you start going through the envelopes. And you identify immediately the stuff that's junk mail, and where does it go? It goes on the trash. You're peeling through it and you say, well, maybe this is something I want to look at later on. Maybe it's a magazine, something to that effect, catalog. And then occasionally you get that letter that just looks different than everything else. It's got enough difference that it makes you want to open it first. That's what we want to try to do. So again, this is going to be done in a fashion that even when you get into your mass mailing work, we'll talk a little bit about that again in a few minutes, but we don't want to do it in mass production. Again, the letter is going to contain information as to who you are, why you're contacting them, and again, the purpose of that letter being to open that door for you scheduling an appointment. So again, the follow-up to that is we'll go through letter by letter, script by script. Each letter is going to have a script that's going to allow you to do that. Each of these letters is going to be designed to be on a template, again, provided to you in the handout section so that you can personalize it, make it your own. But again, I'd like to see you create that personal attention by actually handwriting these. If your penmanship is so poor that it's not possible, then I guess you're just going to have to go back to the format of a pre-production. I just hate that to happen. Maybe you've got a family member that can help you get that going, maybe one of your kids. You can pay them a stipend to help you do some marketing and help you get yourself out there to those people. Because I think as you recognize it, if you get that envelope that's not the normal business size, it kind of looks like it's an invitation of some sort, it may have more potential for you to open it, and especially if it's hand addressed to you. For your clients that know you, of course, you're going to have your name up in that corner for the return address. So they might be saying, well, how come John is giving me a call back? Or what's going on here with this letter from him. I haven't heard from him since we took out that health policy last November, or perhaps when we sat down and we talked about our Medicare Advantage or Medicare Supplement plan. What's he sending me? So they've got an interest in opening it themselves. Again, we're going to touch on these in the handouts themselves. The second letter, again, looking to draw upon that same business etiquette. Again, it's going to reintroduce the subject matter to your clients, the service you're going to provide. And again, it's going to open that door to the appointment that you want to set. Again, that template to be provided shortly. The third one, again, is kind of the one that I have the most interest in going forward, because this is the letter that I'm introducing with that shock statement. And again, it's going to identify that awareness of changes in our market, the carriers that are involved with that, the carriers that are affiliated by you because you've taken the time to get appointed with them. And we'll talk a little bit about that as well. But most importantly, that letter is going to open the door for you to schedule an appointment, and hopefully with someone that you've never been in contact with. Excuse me. So there's other methods of making contact. You may be using some of them. So again, let's go into our second poll and ask, what other methods are you using? And again, thank you all for participating. As you can see, 86% of our people on the line today went ahead and made a contact communication to us. And here's your results. We got 17% saying, hey, they've used the email fashion to attain business opportunities. This might surprise you. 33% have used postcards. Some have used the website. Hopefully that's been established with us through Messer. And then 42% other. Not sure what the other is, but that's also interesting that it's almost a majority have used some other form, and we'll decide if we can get that information out to you as well. So as we go forward, and especially as we go into the next step, of course, is going to be bringing this material to you to use. And again, it's only going to be available during these presentations. What we're going to do is, if you look onto the side of your screen, you're going to have a section there called handouts. We're going to load this up as a PDF. And on this particular PDF, you'll have the opportunity now to download it. There it is. And everything that we've got gathered today, our letters and our scripts, have been set into this contact bundle. So if you want to take a couple of moments here, drag that over and download that into your system. Save it for future use. Don't really need to open it yet. Might take away your attention, because I'm going to open it for you now, and we're going to go into these particular saved bundled documents. Our phone script. Here's number one. Hello, John. This is Mark, your health insurance broker. How are you and Jane doing? Hey, have you had a need to use that insurance that we started this year? Take a moment to break, listen, get the response. find out if they've had some health needs, obviously be able to address those, and then again come back to where we need to be. The reason for my call is I'm focusing my life insurance business during the enrollment for health insurance being closed. I'd like to schedule a time to meet with you and review your current life insurance policies. Take a momentary break. If they respond, it could be something to the effect of, hey, I've already got that life insurance. Well, who do you have that with? Make the notes on that profile. Again, that's a document that's going to follow actually in a future presentation. That won't be available next week. I'll talk about what's happening next week. It will be available during the following week, so the third week or 2 weeks from today. So whether they do or don't have insurance, you want to be able to continue. And that is that as a life insurance broker, you do represent a great number of life insurance carriers. And just like the health insurance that you assisted them with, you feel obligated to find for them the best coverage for the best price. So again, you want to find out if they have a few minutes to answer some questions. And again, those questions are going to be right there on that form. That's going to help you determine who the best carrier may be for them. You're going to ask if the time is right to complete that health questionnaire for life insurance now, or is it better that you schedule a time to meet and review those existing conditions and be able to complete the needs analysis. The needs analysis, again, is another proprietary document that we're going to add. I want to say that's probably about maybe 4 weeks to 5 weeks down the road before we get into that document. And again, thank you. I'm looking forward to seeing you and Jane on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Hey, just want to make sure too that both of you will be there that day. Always make sure, especially in our business with life insurance, that you're going to have both the husband and wife there. Don't buy into the story that I make all the decisions and she doesn't have to be here, or vice versa. The business of life insurance does need the input of both a husband and wife. Also, as you're working on this industry, there's a lot of things that are going to be a little different, a lot different actually, not a little, than the work that you did on your health side. Whether, again, that was an under 65 health market where, let's admit, we weren't really salesmen selling that type of insurance. We were taking orders. You were working with people that had little financial out-of-pocket dollars used to get involved with their insurance, or if they did have more, then you really did put on your hat as a salesman perhaps and showed them many different options because they did not qualify for a subsidy. But subsidy health insurance sales was not really sales. Life insurance is selling. It's probably why a lot of agents are fearful because number one, you really do have to know your business. This isn't something you can skate around. This isn't something you can do quickly over the phone or with a communication via email and write up the order. It's not unusual for good life insurance sales to take at least 2 face-to-face visits and sometimes 3. So keep that in mind. You're getting involved in a business that's just not quick over the phone and you're done. Just not going to happen that way. In the second script, also available to you now, you're taking that same initial approach. You find out that they do have a policy and you're asking those probing questions. How long have they had it? Let me ask you this, since that policy was taken out back in 1997, have you had health changes? Again, you're going to have that document at hand so you can start noting those health condition changes. Obviously, the reason we need to know that, when that policy was issued those years ago and they were in a different condition of health, they obviously received a better health rating. You're going to have to get over the hurdle of determining what their rating will be today that's going to be not as good as they received before, which of course is going to have effect on the cost of that policy. So you need that information in order to be good insurance agent, able to identify the true ratings that they're going to have. And we're going to help you do that when we do our underwriting class, which is going to be in about 3 weeks. The question that we're going to raise in all of these scripts when they do say they've got a policy is, do they have access to those death benefits if they suffer a chronic or critical condition? Now, that's a wake up. First of all, they're off guard. What are you talking about? Chronic critical condition starts bringing up fear. But you're going to follow that up softly with the fact that our industry has begun to recognize that there's a need to make funds available for these types of conditions. And you represent the carriers that have had the foresight to provide these essential benefits at no additional expense. That's interesting, isn't it? So again, that probe, that question, somewhat of a shock and a decision. Let me ask you this. Do you think you can locate that policy so we can review it for the benefits? From that point on, you're going to work towards scheduling the appointment. Again, want to make sure we're going to meet with both of them. Or if it's not going to be possible to meet with both of them right away, perhaps you just want to drop by, say hi, pick up the policy, bring it back to the office, work with someone there, or call back in here for assistance because they don't have a basic term policy. They've got a UL, or they have a whole life, some type of permanent insurance that you may want to be able to have a little support on recognizing what is in that policy and what you're going to seek forward to benefit that family. And that will put you in a position to begin to do that needs analysis. Now, back to that first script, we have the letter. And again, I'm suggesting you write these letters by hand. Hey, we're not talking about a whole lot of stuff here. If you're writing the letter in the true format, you've got to make sure you've got the right business protocol, the date, their name and address, a little greeting. Again, you're thanking them for allowing you to identify their health insurance with Blue Cross and Blue Shield for 2017. Now that the enrollment for that is closed until October, you're focusing your attention on your life for selected clients. So you want them to feel special. I would like to include you and your family on the short list. So again, it's you, your introduction, the reason for it. I'm going to be calling you soon to schedule a time to review your existing life insurance. Now, they've got that letter and perhaps they do not even have life insurance. Or they do and they're saying, I wonder how he knew I have life insurance. Either way, it's just a quick little thing. Until then, stay healthy. I'm looking forward to our meeting. That was it. That was the letter. Couldn't get any simpler. Again, that's why you'll be able to do this quickly. There's a little hand note. Perhaps use the type of a card format that gives that envelope that little difference in size. The second letter to go with that second script, again, it's your basic greeting. You hope that everything's going well in the new year. Hey, maybe they're not aware, but the enrollment for the health insurance, except for the special enrollment periods, is closed until October. So the reason I'm contacting you is I'm changing directions. I'm focusing on my client's life insurance needs. Again, I'll be calling you to discuss how I can assist you with those needs. Until then, be healthy. So again, both of these letters are just quick, hey, how are you? Here I am. I'm going to call you. And when you call, again, you're going to go back to those scripts, whether they be script number 1 or script number 2. So you kind of work them off to the side as you're working through. Now, the third one, again, and as I mentioned earlier, one of the things that I want to try to accomplish here is give us an access to, I want to say mass mailing, but I don't want to say mass mailing. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean, we need to find more clients, and usually you think, hey, I'm going to send out 1,000 mail pieces. And if I send out 1,000 mail pieces, if I can get one of them to respond, that 1 in 1,000, that might be the one that puts me over the hump, gives me that extra commission. But that's kind of like a lazy man business. We don't want to do it that way. What we want to be able to do is do a small mailing. And what I mean by that, I like to do 25 mailers a week. That's not very many. The reason I'm doing 25, and again, this mailing that we're talking about is going out to people we don't even know. But the purpose is I've got to have time to make the call. I got to be able to call behind it. I got to think about how I'm planning my business week and what I'm doing. So let's just say, as an example, you put together these 25 letters and you put them in the mail on Thursday, knowing they're going out to basically a local zip code that should either get them in their hands on Friday or Saturday, so that you're going to be able to call back starting on Monday. You want them to get the letter, but you don't want to have them get the letter and have it too long before you follow up with the call. So again, you're going to limit yourself at this particular time to doing only 25. That should give you the balance of those 4 days of the week, Monday through Thursday, to make those calls, about 5-6 calls a day. I mean, I'm not going to overwork you here, and prepare your next group of 25 to go out. If you're more aggressive, if you enjoy your time on the phone, if you want to double that up to 50, because you know you will formulate and you will regulate yourself and you will make 10 calls a day. Doesn't sound like a lot. Hey, but I'll be the first to admit, a lot of things get in the way during our daily business activity. A lot of things that probably aren't even business. But the fact is, you get torn away to the side. Making 10 calls might be a lot to do in one given day. If you can block out the time, if you can make sure you do it, because don't forget, when you're making those even limited 5 calls, the odds are you might not reach anyone to speak to right away, especially in today's world. You will probably get an answering machine, unless, of course, you're fortunate enough, again, that you've got a cell phone number, and that's only going to work probably with the clients that are really in your personal database, so that you've got a number that you've got a better chance of reaching them on that first call. But again, in the cold call, on the one that we're talking about in letter number 3, you're going to find yourself in a situation that you don't know these people. And you're going to get that answering machine, and you're going to have to make multiple calls before you actually get in touch. So again, I'm thinking 5 calls is enough. Okay, so here we go. Number 3, you don't have to die. Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, you don't have to die to be paid life insurance proceeds. In some cases, you may lead a long life after receiving these proceeds. Now, obviously, this is a shocker. Didn't expect that. Followed up by, our industry has made great strides in meeting the needs of the families like yours well in advance of cashing in a policy at the time of death. I represent a number of highly rated life insurance carriers that offer living benefits, the new insurance. I'll be calling on you soon to introduce myself and my services. So again, very short, very brief. You can handwrite this. You can get this out. You can address that client professionally. You can shock them. And then within that shock, know that you are able to provide an answer to that, which happens to be with that script. Hey, Mr. Smith, this is Mark. I recently sent you a letter. Might have caught you off guard. I was introducing you to the newest form of life insurance called living benefits. Do you recall my letter? Pause, listen for the response. Of course they do. If they read it, they remember it. Right away, you're right into that probe. Does your current life insurance offer these benefits? Again, you're going to pause, you're going to listen to the response. One of 2 things will happen. They're going to either say they're not sure, or they're going to say they don't have life insurance. Either way, you've opened the door. If they have life insurance, you're going to ask, how long have they had it? Who's that coverage with? Again, all those step questions that you'll have in that little questionnaire in front of you. That will help you determine your next step. I'd like to schedule a time, meet you in order to determine if you qualify for these living benefits. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as I mentioned earlier, we want to go into a format called the takeaway. So what you've done is you said, hey, look, there's something out there new. It's called living benefits. You don't have to die. You're going to get the benefits of life insurance long before that death. That sounds pretty interesting. But guess what? I've got to determine if you qualify to receive those benefits. There's your takeaway. Hopefully they want to learn more. By opening that door and helping them learn more, you're going to introduce those living benefits through the carriers that we're going to discuss. Okay, so hopefully today you've gained some new information, you've gained some new insights. Hopefully it's stirred up your interest to get more involved in doing some life insurance business. Again, remember, we're focusing our market on the clientele, first of all, that's really at your disposal, those clients both over and under age 65. We're not particularly going to talk today about carriers. Again, that's probably what we're trying to get away from, getting into carrier and product knowledge this year. We want to talk about techniques and what we're going to be able to do to enhance our business opportunities in the life insurance business. But again, over 65, under 65. So with time, we're going to go into the market. We're going to talk about the products that might fit your client's needs. And again, they're going to be different based on the type of client that you're able to find that you're either currently working with or that you're going to develop. Is that going to lead into other opportunities? Absolutely, without a question of doubt. Especially this mailing that you're doing to people who perhaps are not people you're familiar with. Not only you're going to try to get in that door and do some life insurance business, but again, by solidifying that business relationship, perhaps next year during renewal time, you're going to have a new client for your health business, either both over or under 65. And then, of course, down the road, we're going to get into other opportunities that this is going to be available to you. So again, I hope you've had the time. I hope you've made that download at this point of that PDF. If perhaps you have questions, hey, give us a call here at the Messer office. You can reach out on extension 819. That's going to take you to any one of our marketers. You might see some names here you're familiar with, worked with them in the past, and hey, look who's here. Justin McKim's back, for those that weren't aware. You can reach him here. Please pick up that phone and give him a call. He'd love to hear from you if it's been a while. Also, if you just want to call in and you need some support regarding your business, we've got that whole department developed here for producer support, and that's going to be at extension 813. Let me see what I've got here in my questions. Okay, so Paul, you're having a little difficulty. We're going to get back to you and see if we can get that information to you because you won't be able to download it. All right, and same with anyone else. If you've had that frustrating experience today and you weren't able to download the information, please give us a call, get a hold of one of the marketers so that we can get that information to you. Again, what's going to happen today, this was recorded. However, it's not going to go up for you to see as a recording or review until next Tuesday, the 28th of March. So you've had an opportunity to share with you today the information. And then in turn, we also want to go ahead and say, hey, what's going on in the future? Next week, we want you with us again. Next week, North American is going to be with us, but they're not going to be with us to talk about their products. They're going to talk about how to categorize those clients and determine from that categorization the correct product for them. So again, Get away from product. Let's talk about the needs. Let's fulfill those needs. Let's create some sales. Come back again, please, in 2 more weeks. So March 29th, want you with us for North American. April 5th, we want you with us as we go into the basic field underwriting. We're going to not only have a tool available for you for the information, but we're going to have a necessary tool for underwriting. And these tools, again, are going to be provided through our handouts to those of you who have chosen to give us your time to enhance your business. So without further ado, Mark Contra signing off. Looking forward to our time together next week. Same time, 9 a.m., same station, Messer Financial. Thank you all. Have a great week.